Welcome back to BWO Daily, your source for news in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling from you boys at Busted Wide Open. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. And if you watched Raw this week, you may have seen the debut of someone who is limitless. That's right. Keith Lee finally came to Raw this week, getting his long-awaited call-up. And it was very exciting for anyone who's ever been a Keith Lee fan, except people who liked his music and liked his old ring gear. See, Keith came out to what started off like his NXT theme and then very quickly turned into what sounded like generic entrance music, for Create a Wrestler in 2K18. And he was also wearing some ring gear that was a little different. He wasn't wearing his tight little shorty shorts. He was wearing like a looser flowing pair of shorts, looked a little skirt-like. And then he
Samoa
also
Joe skirt on. Yeah,
and then he also had like a sleeveless Spanx on during his match with Randy Orton, which was only 5 minutes long and ended in a no finish. So people were not happy about his debut, and they naturally, as people do these days, took to Twitter to complain about it. And they complained to Keith. And Keith actually responded to this, and he said, "The music is out of my hands, period. Leave it be. I'll sort it out later." Trying to get everyone to just calm down and just enjoy
Everybody
the big
take a breath.
Take a breath. So here's the thing about the music. You see, you remember how WWE music used to be really awesome back in the day? Well, their music director was Jim Johnston. He wrote every one of the classic themes you can remember, Stone Cold, The Rock, et cetera, et cetera. He wrote all of those. He left the company in 2017, and he'd been phasing his way out for a while. WWE started working with other music groups, specifically CFO $ or CFOS, or however you want to pronounce it. They'd been working with them since 2012, but then they started to work with them nearly exclusively around that time. The problem is that CFOS, or CFO $ signed an absolutely terrible deal with their publisher, Arcade Songs, which was owned by their long-term partner, Greg Wattenberg. Wattenberg got half the royalties at the time. He then forced them out of the group because the publishing company wanted all sorts of royalties from WWE. They're becoming a stickler about things, and WWE started to try to extricate themselves from the production company, including trying to bring CFO $/CFOS in-house. But that didn't work out because Arcade Songs forced them out, and ultimately CFO $ broke up. One of the guys who was a member he quit the music business entirely. So as a result,
I can't imagine why after dealing with all of that.
It sounds like a mess. Now, Wattenberg's actually an interesting character. He actually brought in a lot of outside talent to WWE. He brought in 12 Stones, Drowning Pool, Finger 11. Alter Bridge was because of him. So he actually works with them as music publishers. And unfortunately, because of all of these intricacies that he was trying to get his fingers into everything, WWE moved away from him, and they went with a new music production company called Def Rebel, which works with DJ DTP, which is a big music publishing company out of New York. So we've got a whole new crew working on stuff. This is why there was a whole mess with the music around 2017, 2018. So now Keith Lee's original song was written by CFO $ with Keith rapping over it. But WWE doesn't really want to use that because they don't want to pay money to that publishing company, to Arcade Publishing Company. So they want to pay their new guys. So they want to give their new guys some work. And actually, Def Rebel, a.k.a. Anthony Mirabella, who's one of the writers for DJ DTP, put on his Instagram that, yes, Keith Lee version 3 is in the works. He's got the vocalist Veneno V12, who was the vocalist on Dominic Mysterio's theme and Johnny Gargano's new theme. He's got them working on it. So it's coming. It's not the end of the world. This theme is not the end.
Just take a breath. It's going to be okay.
It's been a mess.
I love that song, too.
Keith Lee's old song banged. You know what else banged? Matt Riddle's indie song, like when he was on the indies. It happens. They get new themes. And in this particular case, it just sounds like a whole financial and legal boondoggle that WWE's in with this music publishing company. They're trying to move in a new direction. So that's why Keith didn't have his initial theme when he came out on Raw. It sucks. It would have been nice to have him debut with a big, the big hero song. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it. That's why they didn't do it. So everybody, it's not Keith Lee's fault. It's not even really WWE's fault. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So, in addition, he also got some backlash over his outfit change. He said, "Leave it be and have some patience. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. I promise. Let me handle that stuff." So apparently he is aware. He hears you. He hears that the outfit wasn't everyone's cup of tea either. But he's on the game. Keith's got this, ladies and gentlemen. He's
been doing this for a minute.
Yeah. And one of the fans actually said, you don't need to tell anybody this stuff. You don't need to come out and say this. And Keith said, "You know what? You're right. Of course I don't have to. I don't owe anyone an explanation. It is simply my way of showing respect to the people who have supported me. I don't want people caught up on small things when what should be acknowledged is on my debut, I mixed it up with Orton. Way bigger deal." And like we said on our live show, which you can check out on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern, or on Saturday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern, on Twitch. What we said on that show was he debuted against Randy Orton. He came to the ring and called his shot against one of the greats of all time. And
he didn't lose. He didn't need a pin. He didn't need an RKO, and he was also mixing it up with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, exactly. He was in the main feud on Raw. Like it's a huge deal. When people were complaining about his match ending in DQ, he said it was a no contest. Calm down. It's all true. It's like we said. He had, as things go, a fantastic debut. They obviously think very highly of him. The nitpicky stuff we can just put aside because it's all being worked on according to the man in the center of all this. So
all of this won't matter in a month.
Pretty much.
That's the point.
Pretty much. It might not even matter come Payback on Sunday. We don't know how fast they're working on this theme song. So
yeah.
Woo-saw. There are bigger things in the world to be concerned about. In addition, one last little nice thing. Asuka did actually tweet at him around the same time. "I'm a fan of real Keith Lee. He is so amazing. He is so passionate." To which he responded by saying, "Thank you," and sent a picture of Sully from Monsters, Inc. Hugging Boo. It was very adorable.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I thought maybe he'd send her a picture of Cup of Noodles, and just...
She does that all on her own. Cup of Noodles she's a Cup of Noodles on her own. So he doesn't.
I was in Costco earlier today, and I walked past it, and I saw the big pallet of Cup of Noodles, and I was like, Asuka, oh. I associate the two 1-to-1 now.
They need to have the red championship belt around the Cup of Noodles. What great cross-brand.
That needs to be her plate, is just a Cup of Noodles on the Raw Championship.
Oh, my God. If y'all don't know what we're talking about, she actually posed in a Cup of Noodles outfit with her new championship.
Right.
That's for another time. Right now, we actually do need to go to her homeland, into Japan, to talk about, speaking of cyberbullying and Keith Lee, the cyberbullies who led to the death, the suicide of Hana Kimura. One of them has stepped forward, actually, to express her regret. The Mainichi reports there's an unnamed woman from East Japan who said that she created a social media account with the express purpose of bullying Kimura. She actually was watching Terrace House. She initially thought that Kimura was a nice kid who can cook and greet people properly. That's a quote. But that after the incident where one of the housemates washed one of Kimura's ring outfits, and one that had a lot of personal meaning to her, and she responded by knocking his hat off in anger. After that, this woman said that she started to feel more disgust for Kimura and that she wasn't a good person. And so she created a social media account. She'd never had one before, just to cyberbully Kimura, and saw other people doing it and decided to do it too. And she actually liked the attention she got, the people's responses agreeing with her, and the likes that she got for her posts. So it actually became something that she wanted to keep doing. Now she says that she feels regret. She feels like she's done a terrible thing, and she wants to speak out about it so that other people know how she fell into that pattern. So I have to commend her for coming forward and being open about this. Obviously, she has done a horrible thing, and she should feel regret. But at the same time, it's brave to come forward and use yourself as an example in a situation like this. So, because it's
good for her.
Yeah, it's a pretty awful thing all around, but at least we're trying to find some healing in it somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of people not wanting to let people heal, Sonya Deville, who, as you may know, was being stalked and actually had a guy pull a home invasion on her a week or so ago. She actually had to have Hillsborough County Circuit Court seal portions of her evidence in her case against this guy, Philip Thomas II, who actually broke and entered into her house while she was there. I saw the security footage, and it's terrifying. She's, answering the door, and the guy just walks in right after her. She runs away. Apparently, in the evidence, which, in Florida, you can access all the evidence. You can see everything. They had to seal it because it includes her address. It includes pictures of her house. You can figure out which house she lived in, names of her family members. And under Marcy's law, she's having it sealed. And she and her ex-girlfriend are actually being named as witnesses and potential victims. So if you don't know, Nick, Marcy's law is actually named for Marcy Nicholas. She was a college student in '83. She was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. But then because her ex-boyfriend was able to find out about her family, and her mother and brother walked into a supermarket and the ex-boyfriend confronted them, they created a law to make it so that it was difficult for that sort of thing to happen. So that's what's happening here, because Sonya Deville has been targeted since then. She has additional death threats since this all happened. She's had messages like, "I'll finish the job that Philip started. My knife is sharper than Philip's." So she's got to protect herself, and that's what's happening right now with that. You can see why she might have wanted a little bit of time off from WWE.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And why she probably didn't want to shave her head and go completely upend her life like this.
And she's got to go to court, and according to Wrestling Observer, this was reported by Heel by Nature, but according to Wrestling Observer, that was the idea. She had to go there's a lot of court proceedings. She didn't want to cut her hair because she wanted to look like she didn't want to go into court bald, basically, essentially. So that makes.
Tell us again why you decided to shave your head. I can hear
Your Honor,
that in a courtroom.
Your Honor, it's pro wrestling. It's called kayfabe.
You see, Your Honor, we had what we call a hair versus hair match, and what that means is and you can just see the judge just putting his head in his hands. Okay. Absolutely why we changed it to a career match, so that Sonya could leave, take a break, go deal with this for the next however long it's going to. This could be a year or more.
Yeah.
If it takes a long time and goes through proper grand juries, jury trials, all of those things.
Couple of years. Yeah.
You're in there for a couple of years. So.
Yeah, and court dates and all the rest. So it's. I know this episode of Busted Wide Open Daily today seems like it's a little bit down, but unfortunately, I do have some more bad news.
Oh, no.
Wade Barrett's coming to NXT. That's right, Stu Bennett. Stu Bennett is going to be...
Where's my gavel?
He's going to be on commentary tonight on NXT. It's supposedly just a one-off right now, but he will be there tonight. So hopefully this leads to other things in the future for him with WWE.
Will he be reprising his Wade Barrett character of Bad News Barrett, or maintaining the Stu Bennett commentator role from NWA?
I hope he comes in as the evil god from Lucha Underground personally, but that's just me. Never did see the end of anything after season 4, so no idea yet, but he will be there on NXT, and that's not bad news. That's good news. Also, happy birthday to Petey Williams, two-time X Division champ and everyone's favorite Canadian over in Impact. He turned 38 years old today, and Nick, that is the news.
Well, thank you, sir. You're dangerous. Happy birthday to Petey Williams, and thank you guys for joining us for yet another episode of BWO Daily. Make sure you pound that big red subscribe button, set your notification to all so that you get notified anytime we put up a brand new episode of BWO Daily. Also, come follow us over on our Twitch channel, where we go live every Tuesday and Saturday for our BWO live shows, recapping all the events throughout the week. And also make sure you are following us over there. Get into our Discord, follow all of our social medias, find links to those all down in the description below. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
And we will see you guys next time.